like our temporary restaurant, if you like. We've been having breakfast, lunch and dinner in there for the last 7 days or so while we've been building the site. And then through here, E1 offices, where we're doing all of our admin, all of our planning, scheduling, all of that kind of stuff. And then various different tents here that are set up for different suppliers and teams across the event site. And you'll see from about 6 p.m. tonight, when we shut this down, this entire site gets dismantled and then off onto a ship for the next race around the world to Saudi Arabia for the beginning of season 3 in January. So like key E1 staff, we've got just under 40 full-time personnel. And then across an event site, there's, depending on the scale of the event, 250 to 300 people on site. So 40 plus the 250 exactly. So I'll take you through this way. We'll go into broadcast. So in here we've got multiple different crews and teams who are all doing slightly different functions across the production and broadcast for E1. Let's start at the back corner on the left here. This is our augmented reality graphics team. So when you're watching the live feed in the media centre, you see where we've inserted billboards and branding for our partners and the graphics that show where the boats are moving around the race. That's all being produced by these guys here. So they use Unreal Engine to create a completely 3D replica of the racecourse and the environment. They built city skyscapes, all the skyscrapers and boats and cruise ships and all of that kind of stuff. And then that supports the editor and the producer of E1 in being able to contextualize the race and tell what's going, who's on a short lap, a long lap, all of those kinds of things help bring the narrative to life and make it easier for the fans watching at home to understand. Also, from my point of view, in my commercial role, it allows me to stitch in the partner content that we need and the branding exposure on broadcast without having to bring in hundreds of tons of branding and put that up physically on site. So it helps us from a sustainability point of view, but it also means we can chop and change things when we see camera angles that are getting better pickup. We can adapt that live in real time and move branding around on that to maximise exposure.
Is that how you're getting the gaming of track?
Exactly. And then what we've done with them, with that team, Sims, is they've built the simulators that you're seeing on the site today. So you can jump into a sim and find a race exactly on Miami course, just as you see it on broadcast.
Yeah.
And the sort of hyper-realism of it is quite astonishing. We can almost do the entire TV show just in AR without having cameras on site. And then moving down here, these guys are looking after what we call the RF cameras, or radio frequency cameras. So those are the traditional broadcast cameras you'd see at like an NBA or an NFL game. So they're positioned around the shore, and then we also have a camera boat that is out on the water with a stabilised camera that's doing that shooting.
What's all your audio? You got audio feeds stationed around.
Yeah, microphones all around the course.
Yeah,
so that's picking up all the ambient noise of contact and waves breaking. All that kind of stuff, and then it gets back to the video. Then over here we're doing a lot of mixing and production of those shots. And this crew here, this is my favourite team. I took a whole load of kids through here yesterday and they love this bit. So you'll see on top of the boat, behind the cockpit, is a black camera. One here actually. Looks a little bit like R2D2. So that is a 360-degree remote control camera. And this team here from Foxtrot, you see they have full control of all the control. And that's been another thing that's really helped us not just tell the story of racing in E1, but reduce how much infrastructure we have to set up to film. Because we can pivot these cameras on board the boats, we can pan around and look at two boats coming into a corner together.
Now, did you pick up that crash that kind of just happened?
Yeah, we did.
I saw that on the replay. Yeah. So that was part of this blueprint.
Well, there's two different onboard solutions. There's 360 Agile mounted on the roof, and then there are, you can see on this screen here, you've got this top one here, you've got a cockpit onboard looking back at the pilot, and then you've got 4 different shots on each race bird, looking back towards the foils and looking forward over the bow. So again, we can cut between all of those shots. And then once we package all of that up, it goes through this enormous server here, which is probably the most important thing on site that we've got to keep cool and all the way through. So this is this is the extent of the broadcast compound at any one of these. If you went to another international sport, the broadcast compound could be 1,500, 2,000 people. The way we can keep this so light is we do remote production. So this server is then connected back to our production facility in the UK, and then we have our editors, our commentators, and all of the production around the show.
They're actually in the UK
sat
right
remote
now.
in the UK in real time, mixing shows together.
Yeah.
And so that means we can keep a lighter footprint, better sustainability credentials.
No latency, anything like
Tiny little bit of latency, but you need that on a live feed anyway, so it tends to build in like 30 seconds of delay, right? So it works in our favor.
Right.
How much remote team do you have back in the UK?
That is a great question I don't know the answer to, but where we're going next, the guy in there might be able to answer it for you. So we head out here and take a
What
right.
is this server running? I know you guys talk about sustainability a lot. Is this just like a generator?
It's running on event power, and event power is always a challenge for us. So where we can, we want to be as sustainable as possible. So whether that's like grid technology works best for us, or where we don't have access to the grid in locations like this, ideally we want to bring in the most sustainable power solution possible. So various races have brought in battery energy storage, so that we can charge, brought to the site, and have all the power that we need, and we just run it on those on their side. But it's part of the purpose and the challenge and the opportunity of these ones as we travel globally. The availability of those sustainable solutions is different. So we can't find ones that have the perfect situation. Sometimes we have generators, we'll try and make sure we run on HBO, which is a carbon neutral fuel. The sustainability responsible is regular.
So for this race, you said it's a battery power?
No, I believe this race is a generation switch. We can head out this way and take a right. So literally the entire event site is packed up into this, and that's all managed by Kuhn & Nagel, who are our logistics partner.
Question.
Yeah.
The black race bird.
Yeah.
That's not a branded bird.
Yeah.
They put that out there as a replacement?
We were just running some testing on it. So we carry full set spares, including fully operational boats. We've had some issues with some teams this weekend with swap boats, Team Miami particularly. So we were just running some systems checks on the final spare, so that if we need it today for other accident damage, we know the boat's operational and safe.
Okay. All right.
So we'll head down this way into race control. That's a really important element of how we govern what's happening in the racing, and I'll explain a bit more.
So there's some tech inside those buoys?
Yeah, there are. So where we are now is race control. So this is where we do the governance of the sport, where everything is adjudicated and reviewed by marshals, safety officials, all that sort of stuff. So the buoys I showed you outside, those are autonomous GPS buoys. So it's like a drone on water, effectively. And the reason that's really important is that GPS positioning in those buoys means we always know the race course is exactly accurate. So there's no drift in the current, wind conditions or tide. That mark for turn 1 is always in the same position every single session, Friday, Saturday, whatever we're doing. And that's all controlled here through our Alcanal team. So Alcanal are responsible for all the timing of the events. So they then use those GPS coordinates to reference the racetrack and understand where boats are and what they're doing. Are they on a long lap, a short lap, a regular lap? Have they jumped the start? Have they hit the start time? So you may have seen in some of the races today, we have quite a unique start procedure where there is announced a time for the race to start. So let's say race start is 11 a.m. The boats will leave the launch zone and go to a milling area, which is some way down this canal here. And then it's up to each pilot individually to decide when they leave the milling zone to cross the start line at exactly 11 a.m. And if they get that judgment wrong, they're either late and behind their competitors, or they've jumped the start. The team in here will apply a penalty for them.
How long is the penalty?
It really depends on what the infraction is. So if we're talking about a jump start, what we normally do is add an extra long lap on it. So the 6-lap race, like you'll see today, each boat has to take a short lap, a long lap, and then 4 regular laps. So if they jump the start, right down from IM, who are the governing body of powerboat racing. So they define the rules for E1, and they're here enforcing and initiating those rules. So things like jump starts, long lap penalties, things like that. Then the crew behind them at E1 are going to control, so they're in charge of the entire site. So not just how racing works and what time the cranes are moving and when the boats are pushed back and race starts and all that kind of stuff, but also the entire security of everyone on site and all the things that are going on. That's all managed there. When you come back to the third row, on the left-hand side, we've got the Seabird engineers. So the Seabird are responsible for the build and construction of all of the race boats that are racing on the water. They have oversight of all the data on every single boat. So they're there looking at state of charge, battery temperatures, power cycles to make sure that the boats are operating within the prescribed window. Then on the right hand side of that desk are more of our production crew from Aurora. You'll see on the iPad they're on a sort of live link back to the broadcast centre on an open Zoom call rather than sitting down and just feeding into the commentary teams decisions that are taken at the swim. So if there is a long lap penalty, you hear about it here first, and then they're informing the commentators so they've got the right information live on it. And then right back here, a little bit more situation style government and control. So really this is where all the controversy happens. The pilots, the engineers, the team principals are just outside in mission control, where we're going to take you through in a minute. So the minute they want to protest something that's happened out on the water, they're running straight in here to come and talk to the UAM. So we'll head out and I'll show you mission control.
Yesterday, today, I think there's a different job.
There probably is, yeah. If I'm honest with you, I don't get to see any of the racing action. I don't know who's qualified where, I don't know what the times yesterday were or what the race times are today. But it wouldn't surprise me to see a time difference day today.
They seem to be running better today than they were yesterday because it's not as choppy.
Yeah. Perfect.
Think about this as like the pit lane equivalent from a motorsport series. So here, every team has their desk and their setup. So we start with Team Miami right in front of us, run all the way up till it is not in the boat. And then essentially the spotters can pilot them down on the water. So they're looking at where the competitors are, and they've got a boat coming alongside them into a turn, and they need to use space. You cut into an apex to hold someone back. They're helping to give that perspective of what's happening around the pilot in real time. So they're all on constant, they're all wearing headsets, they're talking to each other and live to the pilot in the boat. And you'll hear on broadcast throughout the day when they're picking up that radio comms between an engineer and a pilot. Like these guys sat here. They've always got a great view of the race right at the start behind here. And we also have some like E1 supporting control, operations control, water operations second there. This is where they're making all their strategy decisions. When in the race is the right time to go for that short lap? Are we in traffic? Do we want to delay it? What's going on around us? What are the other teams doing? Because the pilot out there doesn't know that the boat behind him is going to take a short lap. Whereas presently here, you can see it from the broadcast feed.
So it's not an order. I thought they can take it when they want to.
Absolutely at their discretion.
They just have to click the number.
They have to make sure they've done it by the end of the race.
Yeah.
But that's it. That's the only rule we apply. So it creates all of the strategy uncertainty. How you deploy those different laps across the race and how it works best for you depending on where you are in the match, basically.
How early is this set up before you get
Depends who. For me, it's here when I turn up, which I'm very grateful for, but operations crew are here probably 10 days ahead of the event. So
Is this important to show sponsors?
yeah, we do this for all our partners. We did some tours yesterday as well. We had an activation with PIF on the live course. We brought 30 kids down yesterday.
Yeah, so
They all came out here for a tour. Which was, I mean, I'm not just saying this because
I'm going to take that.
it was probably the highlight of my day yesterday. Let's head back to the media centre because I definitely need some AC, but happy to cover any other topic. We've got a really good idea, but not really concerned yet. E1 operations team. Mission control will be somewhere else, and race control and all that move around. And all of that is tied up in that plan experience. So in an ideal world with the right promoter, the right funding, the right race site, we have Acceleration Festival, Grandstand, and watch, and we can build all of that event infrastructure around us. If you look at a lot of the events we do in the Middle East, particularly in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, we have the opportunity to build those sorts of infrastructure around the events. So Race 1 was always in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia, and there we have a full fan village built out. I think this year we had 7,000 people in that fan zone across 2 days, and also a custom-built hospitality structure. Doha this year, probably just over 30,000 people on the Pearl, where we were racing, watching from the shore.
30,000.
And that was an amazing event site for us.
Sorry, Doha.
Doha.
So why is there no fan village or something?
It's just the complexity of this site. So the space we've got here means we can build what we need for ocean club and for hospitality, and then to look at additional space for sort of fan village and fan watching. It's permitting, it's all sorts of different parcels of land owned by different stakeholders. The complexity of it is too much for us. At this stage in our sort of infancy, this is only event 12 for EY, and we still are starting school. It's definitely something that we need to address and we need to look at that. But also to get the permission to come to Miami and hold our championship finale is too good to miss.
Yeah, that was good. They've done motorsport racing in Miami, but it was over by Key Biscayne to
At Marine Stadium.
They had a Marine Stadium.
Yeah.
They had it there.
Yeah.
Did you guys look at that as a potential location? I know it's been kind of closed down.
Yeah, we did. Marine Stadium was the initial site that we were going to go racing at, but where we would get permission. We were closed off, we were out of the way of all the cruise ship movements.
Yeah.
It's safe from the city's point of view. And we recognise where we show up when unknown. It's not like Formula One showing up in Miami and you know what they're going to put on again, right? So that's where we got to originally. But then as we built the relationship with all the various different stakeholders around the city and the mayor's office, and they saw some of our events throughout the season and the confidence built to a point where they felt comfortable to allow us to move closer into the city. And again, in an ideal world, we would stick with the site we chose and just stick to our plan.
Yeah.
But we're new, we're happy to move quick and break things, so we have an opportunity to have a better backdrop and closer to the city and a little bit more iconic. So we roll with the punches and move on.
We want to grow with it.
How close is like the schedule for next year to being finalised?
It's in really good shape. I'd say probably a couple of weeks out from this race, we'll put an announcement out. Do you guys want to come through here?
Yeah,
sorry. There are various kind of foundations we can build around. We have long-term agreements in Saudi Arabia with the Ministry of Sport and SWSDF. We know that is always the season opener, and we know that's always going to be somewhere in January. So those dates are confirmed now and locked in. And we know that we want a finale to be in North America, and then that allows us to think about how we plan the freight schedule. We don't have to make anything. We have to accommodate for shipping time, shipping regions, and all the complexity around that. Which means we can then roughly split our calendar into thirds, where we have a Middle East leg, a European leg, and then on to North America. And if that means we go via Africa or Caribbean, races like Mosul, Lagos, and Nigeria, then that all fits quite nicely.
I'm glad you said the Caribbean. We were the United States Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
Love to see you come down here.
So would I.
St. Croix.
So would I.
I mean, beautiful space, a lot of accommodations, friendly government. So maybe we can talk about that.
There are so many exciting conversations with those. I'd love to tell you about it.
Yeah.
And that's why we're just trying to take that time to get these established generation. The other thing it's looking like going into 2026 is there'll be quite a lot of consistency. All the places we visited this year will return to. And I think that's a really important thing for us as a